Awesome. So we are back. Part 3 of our suicide awareness and prevention panel discussion, real heart to heart. We just ended off asking Tristan, kind of what do you do as a friend who is having to navigate a situation where someone you know is self-harming, having self-destructive thoughts, or contemplating suicide. So if you haven't watched the section previous to this, go ahead and do it. It's been amazing. But the main thing that we took away from that was you cannot hold on to someone's secrets, someone's baggage, someone's pain, in fear that if you tell someone, they'll be mad at you, when actually a life is a life. And that is so, so important.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off this next session by asking Tyler her next question. Along this theme now, where we're speaking from the perspective of friends, family, colleagues, people on the periphery of a life, you know, where someone is contemplating ending their life, okay? I wanted to ask you, we so often forget how important it is to equip people in the family unit or in the friendship circle, kind of how to deal with the situation when there's been a suicide attempt, because that's extremely traumatic, and also when suicide has taken place. So what I want to ask you is, basically you experienced that stigma. Well, I'm pretty sure you did. You can correct me if I'm wrong, surrounding suicide and kind of what remains over the family of the loved one that's been lost. How did you navigate, if you felt like any guilt or any resentment, maybe towards your father, but also towards the people that had been questioning or maybe coming to you and asking you for answers, and you're like, well, I don't know right now how to deal with this, and I don't know what you want from me in this space. Whatever you were feeling, and what do you believe is important for people, and what do you believe is important for people to know about the like emotional recovery after suicide? It's quite a dense question.
That is a dense question. So in terms of like, okay, so my immediate knee-jerk reaction, I think I said earlier on, was to defend my father.
Yeah.
Like he's my dad, and like he's done this thing that the society views as like abominable and like a sin and
Shameful,
all this and shameful and all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, it's no. But as the only surviving parent that I had left, there was an aftermath. There was like, I don't know how like graphic I should be, but there was having to go to the state mortuary and do a body identification. There was a funeral to plan, and I was grateful that I was as old as I was when it happened.
Yes.
But then, and we had a traditional Irish wake for my dad as well, which was a lot of fun. But no, it was a lot of fun, but it was a really nice way to send them off, to celebrate a life, to have fun instead of like having this dark cloud hanging over us. But in the weeks in the months and like nearly a year afterwards, people would like come pull me aside, like take me out of a conversation and be like, I'm so sorry your dad did this. It's the worst thing in the world. And I'm like, I mean, this is wildly unprovoked, first of all.
Yeah.
And second of all, like, you don't actually know where I am in my emotional process.
And how triggering that could be.
And how triggering. I mean, there was this one thing, like a couple months after he died, I couldn't watch anything that was about suicide. Like, I couldn't. There was, and without going into the specifics of how my father killed himself, but like, it was still, it was just completely triggering. 13 Reasons Why made me so angry. It made me so angry. Because the way that I'd rationalized my father's death was he had made the ultimate sacrifice to provide for his family because he believed that the only way that he could do what he felt he had to do as a provider was to take his own life. That is how I'd rationalized it. To turn around and then say to me, unprovoked, that your father made a selfish choice, and I can't feel sorry for people who commit suicide because it's a choice. All of those things are the most unhelpful things to somebody who's been left in the wake. Like, how dare you call my dad selfish? You didn't know him. You didn't know what kind of pain he was in. How dare you call him a coward because he booked out of life too soon? When, as far as I'm concerned, when somebody takes their own life, they're fighting their survival instincts to continue to live, like to take that step, to fight everything in you, including the chemical responses from your brain to keep you alive. Like, to me, that seems like an act of bravery in my context from what my dad did. But then also, it's an act of like or it's just when somebody does something like that, they're in so much pain. They're in so much pain, and I'm just like, how can you call somebody who's in that much kind of pain? And it's not even a pain that you can take like a painkiller for. It's a soul pain. It's an all-consuming pain that you just don't even want to. You simply cannot. And for me, all that did was make me empathetic, as opposed to angry.
But that's very powerful.
And I think that in terms of like, I think the third part of that very dense question was like people and what they say afterwards. I don't think anybody should say anything unless you're asked.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that is something that like should be a theme for everything. Absolutely. Really, like whether we're talking about suicide or whatever we're talking about, is don't say anything until you're asked.
Yeah,
absolutely. Don't offer your opinion.
We forget how refreshing it actually is to go to someone going like, I know that you know that I know. I just want to know if today you feel okay, and I want you to know that if you ever want to talk about it, I'm here and I will do the best I can to listen, not even to offer advice, but just to listen to you. If you want to give me a key word to say you're not okay today so I can cover for you at work, just things like that is so helpful to cushion someone in that place.
100%. But I also do think that in context of that comes from people who know you. Not from some random person who your father spoke
found out on Facebook by someone's auntie's dog.
Guys, listen, my Facebook wall blew up. And that was the worst thing I've ever
so
as well.
Awkward,
like I think I posted like a picture of my dad and I was like, rest in peace, you know, I miss you, whatever the case may be. One of his, and I tagged him in it, one of his friends went, oh my goodness, is he dead? What happened to him? One of his friends, straight underneath it, oh, the man committed suicide. And I'm like, why would you put that on somebody's wall? And it's that, but you see what I'm saying, is that like, people don't want to talk about it to your face. They don't want to sit down and be like, so, you know, how do you feel? Like, how are you going? How's it going? But they'll put it all over social, like they'll titter about it behind you. And I just think that that's very unhelpful. Like, as far as I'm concerned, people process the way they lose somebody to suicide differently. The way I processed it was, my dad was in an immense amount of pain. He's not anymore. What he did was something that his motivations I feel were brave. But I don't think that he was a coward, and I don't think he just booked out because he wanted to book out.
Absolutely. Sure. Thank you, Tyler. That was incredible. I actually want to, off the back of that, kind of jump to Mark again to get your perspective. If there's anything you want to kind of add onto that now from a practical perspective for people who are recovering from losing someone to suicide, like a little bit of advice, kind of just to emphasize what Tyler maybe shared in her story of her kind of recovery process, how to rationalize it, how to process maybe any sense or feeling of guilt or anger at people, not necessarily the person who took their life.
I think the answer that Tyler gave was great. I think you know, reframing what the suicide actually was is really important. The space that person is in before they actually, it's not that suicide is an option, it's that it's the only option now. It's a very big difference. And I think respecting that person has had to get to this place where this feels like the only thing I can do is something that in itself is a little bit healing. But in the same way, paying attention to some of the stuff that Tristan said, which is that there's nothing you can actually do. There's no magic word. There's not some moment that you're going to say something that's going to change how they're feeling. They're in such a dark space that there's nothing that you can have done. And as many times as you need to remind yourself of that is as many times as you have to do it. Because healing doesn't happen in a moment. You know what I mean? And I think running away from it or not talking about it is probably what a lot of people try to do. Not always the case, but I think being open about it and creating a space where we actually can talk about, wow, so, you know, suicide's a real thing. It's not a joke. We actually should have this discussion. What does it mean to me that this person committed suicide? In relation to me, what does it mean? How has it affected me? How has it affected the way that I view the relationship I had with them? Does it make me feel like I wasn't enough to keep them around? How is it impacting me? So really processing it, and that's really, I mean, the next step obviously is to try and get counseling if it's a possibility. But keep that avenue open. Don't close it up.
Absolutely. That's really good. I think we're going to end that bit here. That was potent. So helpful. Yeah, we'll end it there, and then we'll jump into the next little bit.